to you about creating campaigns to sustain change. As EcoRaps, not all of us are we work on a relatively small scale. We're not exactly making companies change their policies or making governments invest in renewable energy. What we do is make students live more sustainably. Do you often get people asking you, well, what's the point? If I recycle, there's still people polluting everywhere. What difference am I making? So individual behavior does make a difference. If every person starts to behave more sustainably, it'll change the fabric of society, it'll create norms, and it'll pave the way to structural changes. So, however, not everyone's beliefs work in the same. Not everyone's behavior is in accordance with their beliefs. You might have friends who are really they're like, yeah, go environment, but they still take 45-minute showers. And you yourself, you might be really passionate about the environment, but there are certain things you can't do or you feel guilty about doing. This is where community-based social marketing comes in. What is CBSM? So this really cool dude called Dr. Doug Mackenzie Moore started using marketing techniques to create behavior change. And so this reframes behavior change and looks at it from the resident's point of view. And it makes you change behavior in a way that you can maintain it and make it a habit. So there are 5 steps to having a successful behavior change. First, you select a behavior. Then you identify barriers and benefits to these behaviors. Next, you develop strategies to combat barriers. And then you go on to pilot and implement the strategy. And then you can evaluate the impact and see how successful it was. The first and the most important step is choosing a behavior. So this behavior has to be indivisible and stay. So what this means is if you want someone to save water, you're not going to be like, I want them to waste less water. What you will say is, I want them to take shorter showers. So that's a very specific behavior. You can't make it any more specific. So that's what we aim for. And Dante is going to talk to you about a specific example at Tufts.
So we're doing this campaign for 2 of our dorms, collaboratively with the RAs, Ellen and I, and it's using reusable bags instead of plastic, taking out compost and looking at how much recycling is being done. And trash, there's always plastic bags in there, unnecessary. Our school gives out reusable bags, even so, it's not that hard. So our behavior is using reusable bags.
So once you selected our behavior, the next step is identifying the barriers and the benefits to that behavior, and this can be done by observing people in your dorm or by sending out surveys that people can fill out. You can also, if you want to go on a larger scale, create focus groups or even read literature about the specific behavior.
So our barriers and benefits, our barriers were, so even if you have a reusable bag, sometimes you'll leave, you forget to take it, and then, oh, my door's locked, I might as well go and take 1 plastic bag from the store, it's not going to do any damage. So inaccessibility, laziness, those are our barriers.
Mm-hmm. So what Dante is talking about is developing strategies to combat specific behaviors. So for each behavior, we can use different sorts of tools. So one of them is, so they go commitment, prompts, social norms, incentives, and convenience. They're all kind of self-explanatory, but we're going to explain them in more detail.
So for our campaign, lack of motivation, what I explained before, we can do commitment and norms. We talked to all our residents about these things. We had a kickoff event tied in with Halloween Weekend, which I'll explain later, where we talked to all our residents about our campaign and incentives. We are giving out a $25 gift card to wherever they want at the end of the year for the person who uses reusable bags the most. For Getting to Act, we're going to have posters right on the main doors, so people will see the signs right as they walk out. And we're going to have we're having coat racks with reusable bags there, so you'll see it, you'll remember next time you go out to the store and pick up things that you pick up a reusable bag. Lack of social pressure, our posters are kind of peer pressure oriented. We're taking pictures of our friends using reusable bags, looking really hip, being surrounded by friends.
In a good way.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Lack of knowledge. So at our kickoff event, we had a slideshow showing the effects of plastic pollution, like the Pacific pollution patch and the structural barriers, convenience. The racks can be right there. Reusable bags are going to be there for access. There's really nothing that is going to be in the way of people. So here's one of the posters we had up. It's huge. It's near the door. And then this is our rack with a list of why reusable bags should be used. Our campaign slogan is also catchy. It's called "Reusable is Doable." And then there's a sign up sheet. You don't see it right there, but people put their names, room numbers, the date. So it's not easy to just check off your name just to move the cart.
So another part of the campaign is piloting the program. It's a little difficult in the dorms because it's already on a pretty small scale, but we can almost think of the dorms as a pilot program for perhaps creating a level of norm for all the dorms and creating a campus-wide thing. So that could be a test run for that. So trying it out in a small group, like a dorm. I know it's not small, but it's pretty focused, and you can check your success, check your failures, and then through the implementation. So like Dante was saying, they kicked off their event with they kicked off their campaign with their event. So that's just to increase publicity, to say, hey, we're doing this. Like they'll come out for the event, and then they'll realize they'll be introduced to the campaign, and then all the prompts and all the advertising around. It'll be like further advertising for them. And then the next step was evaluate. So go ahead and implement that, and then look back and did it work? What worked? What didn't? And it can be a loop cycle. You can keep re-implementing or changing things. We also have the cutoff line of the semester, and so if it did work really well, we could keep going with next semester, or maybe we could change some things and start over. So that's an important process.
So piloting, our campaign is basically a pilot, just 2 small doors. We're going to see how it goes, and then if it works really well, then we can spread to other eco reps and have them implement it in their dorms if they would like. So what we did first was send out the survey it says, do you have reusable bags lying around cluttering up in your room? So we're collecting reusable bags just to share with everybody. And then our kickoff of that was called Go Green for Halloween weekend, and we had compost cups, which were chocolate pudding, Oreos, and worms, so irresistible. People had to come. We had like 50% at least of our residents come, and while they were being fed, we talked to them about compost as well as our campaign. It was super catchy and a really good way to kick off your campaign so that you get as much publicity as you can. And teaming up with your RAs and RDs really works well, as we saw. And then this is another picture of our campaign with the program and bags.
Yeah, and this was just in the really early stages of it too. Like those bags are just what me and my roommate had lying around. Like we are still collecting from a bunch of our residents, and people have definitely already started using it, so it's pretty exciting.
So is the idea that they could take one and then bring it back later?
Yeah, and you we're gonna have them this is sort of like during the process, but there's gonna be a sign sheet of like all their names, so you can write your name and the day you took it, and then we're gonna count out who used it the most and who assumedly reduced their own consumption of plastic bags the most, and then we're gonna have incentives for that.
And this is going to be a year-long campaign.
So the reason we wanted to present that our eco reps are doing campaigns is because it's something new this year, and we're really excited about it. And so far we all have campaigns in our dorms, and it's going really well. We realize that it's just more focused. Eco reps is kind of doing everything, which is awesome, but picking one behavior to change and having your residents come out after a full year of being a positive behavior being ingrained in them is just incredible. So it's more focused. It lasts over either the semester-long time period or over the entire year. So it's just ingraining that positive behavior in them for a longer time. And like I said, they'll leave your dorm, or I know not all of your eco-rep programs are in charge of dorms, but it'll impact students very personally and change their behaviors.
Hopefully for the rest of them.